chapter 12. Chapter 12 is named as the birth of Emperor Parikshit. Um, and these are the last two verses, 35th and 36th verse, the ending verses of chapter number 12. So we'll read the verse and then we'll read the synonyms, the translation, the purport, and then we'll sing the Mangalachan verses. Okay. Ahuto Bhagavan Rajya Jajayitva Dvijayrnripam Uvasa Katichinmasan Suhradam Priyakamyaya Ahuto Bhagavan Rajya Jajayitva Dvijayrnripam Uvasa Katichinmasan Suhradam Priyakamyaya Ahuto Bhagavan Rajya Jajayitva Dvijayrnripam Uvasa Katichinmasan Suhradam Priyakamyaya. Malapu, I know busy people would like to read the verse, Prabhu, if you desire.
I'll try. I'll give it a shot.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Ato Bhagavan Rajan Yajit Eva Vijayar Nipam Uvasa Jet Katichin Masan Surtam Priyakamaya.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, so we'll go ahead with the synonyms. Ahutaha, being called by Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Rajna, by the king. Yajayitva, causing to be performed. Dvijay, oh, it's not done. Dvijay, but yeah, by learned Brahmanas. Dripam, on behalf of the king. Uvasa, presided. Katichit, a few. Masan, months. Suhridam, for the sake of the relatives. Priya Kamyaya, for the pleasure. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, being invited to the sacrifices by Maharaj Yudhishthir, saw to it that they were performed by qualified twice-born Brahmanas. After that, for the pleasure of the relatives, the Lord remained a few months. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna was invited by Maharaj Yudhishthir to look into the supervision of the performance of the yajna, and the Lord, to abide by the orders of his elderly cousin, caused the performance of yajnas by learned twice-born Brahmanas. Simply taking birth in the family of a Brahmana does not make one qualified to perform yajnas. One must be twice born by proper training and initiation from the bona fide Acharya. The once born scions of Brahmana families are equal with the once born Shudras, and as such, Brahma Bandhus or unqualified once born scions must be rejected for any purpose of religious or Vedic function. Lord Shri Krishna was entrusted to look after this arrangement, and perfect as he is, he caused the yajnas to be performed by the bona fide twice-born Brahmanas for successful execution. Okay. I'll read the next verse and translation as well. There's no purport to that. So, Tato Rajna Bhayudnyata Krishnaya Saha Bandhuvihi Yayo Dvaravatim Brahman Sarjuno Yadubhirvrata. Translation: O Shaunaka, thereafter the Lord, having bade farewell to King Yudhishthir, Draupadi and other relatives, started for the city of Dwarka, accompanied by Arjuna and other members of the Yadu dynasty. Just end the Bhakti and the purports of the first canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Birth of Emperor Parikshit. Okay, will the Mangalachan verses? Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी भागवतम की जय श्री प्रपाद की जय read the verse once again आहुतो भगवान् राज्ञा याजयित्वा दुजेर्नृपम् उवास कतिचिन्मासान् सुहृदां प्रियकामया okay so just like, because we are at the end of chapter 12 I'll just quickly summarize what we did till now so in the previous chapter Krishna left for Dwarka and basically entered Dwarka okay and then by this time Shalakrishna is asking again oh I think we got sidetracked by Sudha Goswami can we come back to a topic of discussion what happened to Maharaj Parikshit right what happened to him how did death take place what did he achieve after death so many questions regarding Maharaj Parikshit so Sri Sudha Goswami continues to describe that particular narration basically of that particular topic of discussion and then he mentions that how Maharaj Parikshit was saved by Sri Krishna in the womb of Mother Uttara by Brahmastra uh, released by the son of Dronacharya, Ashwathama. Right? And the description of Bhagavan is Lord is given and how he saved Maharaj Parikshit. And then after that, Maharaj Parikshit was born, and a lot of charity was given in celebration of his birth. And Maharaj Yudhishthir then called upon all the Brahmanas and then asked from them, how will he be? Can you please get a horoscope? Something, how will he be? What qualities will he have? How will he rule? All the different things. And the Brahmanas then describe the various qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, which he will have in the future. Some of them are, I'll just highlight like Ikshvaku maintaining all his born, and like Rama, like Lord Ram, in especially following the Brahminical principles, Maryada Purushottam, and he like King Shibi in terms of donating and donation, charity, protecting the surrendered person, and this will be shown perfectly when Kali himself surrenders to Maharaj Parikshit and he gives protection to Kali. And then similarly, among great bowmen, who like Arjuna. Right? So many wonderful qualities of Maharaj Parikshit is being mentioned by the Brahmanas, and not only about his birth, not only about his qualities, and sometimes it's frowned upon. Let's say the birth of a child. I mean, and someone says, "Yeah, he will die by this way in maybe in 50 years, 60 years." Why are you speaking of death? such an auspicious moment. We are talking about inauspicious things. Some people, that's one of the things which we, that's the notion. But here, if you see, the Brahmanas talk about hearing about his death. They speak or they tell about, they prophesize about his death as well. How will he die? He will die by the bite of a snake bird, right? So he talks about that. They talk about that basically, not only about death. So in Vedic life, those who are learned, those who are Aryans, they know that this body is temporary, and the soul has to leave this body one point or the other. So it's not for a devotee. It's not birth or death. Is what happens between birth and death that's most important, right? And then, those who expert in astrological knowledge, performance in birth ceremony, talked about the future of this child. Okay, and then later, Yudhishthir wanted to perform, or rather, he was being, or say, counseled by many different personalities on performing the Ashwamedha Yajna, the horse sacrifice. So, and Yudhishthir Maharaj also had the desire. So now the thing is, this mentioned in Mahabharata as well, that actually Vyasadeva says you should perform Ashwamedha Yajna. And Yudhishthir Maharaj says, oh my dear Vyasadeva, I understand, you think Ashwamedha Yajna is the right thing, but then I don't have any funds. See, we spent entire amount, or pretty much the entire thing, in this war. I don't have any more funds, right? There's so many people here, those who are injured. I mean, even though they are young, they still haven't recovered from their injury. So some people, how can I levy taxes from these people who have just, just barely got over the war is barely got over? How can I levy taxes upon them? How can I get the taxes from them? It doesn't, I can't do this. So Ashwamedha Yajna means it should be elaborate, and not only should be performed elaborately, the remunerations given to the Brahmanas should be elaborate. I mean, you can give less remuneration, but I don't want to do that. If I perform sacrifice, I want to give a handsome remuneration to all the Brahmanas, all the people assembled here. Since I don't have the capacity right now, I don't know how can I do it. So then Vyasadeva says, no problem. Now in the Himalayas, there's a lot of riches left by King Marutta. Lot of gold, plate, then so many things. It's so many riches have been left there from previous sacrifice. Go and get them. That will be enough to fulfill the funds to perform Ashwamedha Yajna. Oh wow! And then, his brothers, basically Arjuna, also left to get all the riches from Himalayas. That's mentioned in the verse 33, right? They all collected sufficient riches from the north, led by King Marutta. It's mentioned in the Ashwamedha, which parva is it? Ashwamedhika parva is the last parva, second last parva of Mahabharata, basically. It talks about this particular pastime, and then when Yudhishthira hears this, he becomes very eager. Oh, do you mind elaborating more about this? What happened? And the Mahabharata goes on describing the entire pastime of Maharaj Marut. Now, after he got the riches, he procured the ingredients for 3 horse sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yajna, right? And then he started performing Yajna. He started the preparation. But then he said, oh, but the best person to oversee the Yajna is Krishna himself. So he invites Krishna, who is in Dwarka. Oh, Krishna, I'm trying to perform Ashwamedha Yajna. Would you please come here and preside and supervise the Yajnas? And Krishna, being Bhakta Vatsala, and also he's elder to him, Yudhishthira is elder to Krishna. He says, "Oh, sure, my Yudhishthira, I'll definitely come." And Krishna just comes on the request of my Yudhishthira to supervise um, the yajna proceedings, basically. And that's where we are, 35th verse. Okay. Now, in this section, what we'll talk about, we'll try to discuss is who is yajna, what is yajna, who is yajna, who should be for, who can perform yajna as brahmanas, what are the qualities of a brahmana, what is the position of a brahmana, right? And what is the most important yajna at this particular point of time, and what to do while the yajna is going on for sacrifice. So many aspects of yajna and brahmanas we'll talk about. Ultimately, try to talk about. Okay, so as I mentioned, the yajna mentioned in this context is the Ashwamedha yajna, the hot sacrifice, and the purpose of sacrifice is to please Krishna. How? Why do I say the purpose of sacrifice is to please Krishna? Srila Baldev Vidyahabhushan, in his commentary to verse number 9 of chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, the 3.9 is a very famous verse. Yajnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. The very famous verse. It says that without performance of actions for yajna, people of the world are bound by their actions. So in this verse, Sri Baldev Vidyahabhushan says that yajna means Supreme Lord. Prabhupada says as well. Same. Prabhupada says based on commentary by Sri Baldev Vidyahabhushan. So he says the Taittiriya Samhita says Yajna vai Vishnu. Yajna is Vishnu. Right? He basically says another name of Vishnu is Yajna. So when he says Yajna Arthat Karmano, one should do activity for Yajna, actually means one should do activity for Vishnu. And by doing activities for Vishnu, one will not be bound by the karmic reactions. Right? So the reason, the purpose of sacrifice is to please Lord Vishnu. Right? And Srila Madhvacharya, in his commentary to 3.9, same verse, he says, I just quote, the living entities being bound to the material nature by their actions refer to actions which are contrary to divinity. Okay, so to people who are bound to this material reaction by the actions, they do actions that are contrary to the Vedic principles. Okay, then he says Jaya. So one of the name of Lord Vishnu is Jaya. Okay, we say Jayati, we say Jaya. Jaya is one of the name given to the Supreme Lord. Okay, and this means glory. Right? Jaya means glory. Now, Sri Madhvacharya, he quotes a particular book called Barkashruti. He says that Jaya, right? Ja and Ya here, the Ya means Yajna. One of the name of Lord Vishnu is Jaya, and Ya means Yajna. Therefore, Yajna is the performance of the prescribed activities given in the Vedic scriptures for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. That is the meaning of Ya, Ya. Right? So basically, the point is, yajna should be done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Now, this very beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita again, chapter 9, verse number verse number 24. It says, Aham sarva yajnana bhokta cha babure cha natu mamma bhijananti tatpe natascha vanchabantite. It says, Aham hi sarva yajnanam. I am the enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Aham, the sarva yajnanam. Yajnanam is basically plural. Sarva, all the yajnas. Aham. I am what? Bhokta and Prabhu. I am the enjoyer and the master. Okay. So Krishna says this. The master enjoyer of all sacrifices. Okay. Now, that's the position of, that's who Krishna is. He is the master. Now, if you see the words here, the Prabhu and the Bhokta of Yajna has come to preside and supervise the yajna performed for himself. Right? So basically, Yudhishthira Maharaj called upon Krishna to supervise the yajna proceedings, basically to procure things, to arrange everything for yajna. And who is yajna? Krishna himself. So Krishna came to my Yudhishthir's place to oversee what are the ingredients to be brought for himself. Right? Basically, his person, oh, what do I want for myself? Yeah, this look good. The Krishna is just like we go out and procure things. Yeah, today I want to make this thing. I will buy this ingredients. Krishna came to get things for himself because he is the master of all sacrifices. Right? He's Yagya Kunda is his mouth, and the flames are his tongue. So he's going to eat, right? So that is the yajna. So yajna has two things. Chaitanya Prabhu mentions yajna has a form and a principle. Principle means to sacrifice before we do something, before we want to engage our senses in relishing those particular items. We offer sacrifice to offer to Krishna, and then we have it. That is the principle of yajna, and the form of yajna is the yajna kund. Idam Krishna, idam Namah, Swaha. We all the ahuti we do, right? So the next part, okay. So that is the yajna part. Now, to Lord Krishna was invited Madhurishti to look at the supervision of the performance of yajna. Okay. Now, Prabhupada mentions some very important parts. Okay? Twice born brahmanas. He says cause the performance of yajnas by learned twice born brahmanas. So now we talk about who is a brahmana, the qualities of a brahmana, and the position of brahmana. Three things: who is a brahmana, the qualities, and the position of brahmana from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Now, there are two verses which delineate the qualities of a brahmana, one from Bhagavad Gita and from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam first, there are 8 qualities mentioned by Rishabdev in chapter 5, which lists the qualities of a brahmana. Now they are here. Okay, Shamadama Satyam Anugrahascha Tapas Titikshva Anubhavascha Yatra. Right? So he says Shama. Shama basically means fixing mind. One is controlled. Okay, that is Shama. Dama means sense control. Okay? Just mind control and also senses in control. Then comes truthfulness, Satya. Okay, Samadama Satya. Anugrah. So an anugrah means out of mercy, you're compassionate. Then tapas. Okay, anugrah out of mercy. How does the mercy exhibit itself? By preaching or by telling others about the purpose of life, purpose of the Vedas. Okay, tapas is penance. Titikshva is tolerance. Tikshva karunika. One of the qualities of a sadhu is titikshva and karunika, compassionate as well as being tolerant. Okay, tolerance. And then anubhava, they realize the position of living in the Supreme Lord. They realize who they are and what's the relationship between them. So these are the 8 qualifications of the Brahmanas. Okay. So in these 3 verses, the 3 verses, 21, 22, 23, 24, 4 verses, Lord Rishabdev talks about the position of a Brahmana. We'll go through the particular verses. Okay. Now, if you see here, Brahmana is not just by birth. Okay. So there is a this a pastoral story of Gautama Muni. There are many Gotras in the Vedic period. Even now, see Gautami Gotra. The many Gotras. Gotra means a family lineage starting from some particular personality. Gautama Gotra basically means the lineage started from Gautama Muni. So he used to take only Brahmana or the kids born in a Brahmana family as his disciple to teach. But then once a boy came and expressed his desire to learn all this Vedic, all the Vedas from him. So he asked the boy, "Oh, my dear boy, who is your father? What's his status? What is his background? Can you please tell me?" So he said, I don't know. Okay, please go ask your mother and come back. So the boy went and said, "Oh, mother, Gautam Muni is asking that, who is my father? What's the status of my father? What's the background of my father? Do you know? I never seen my father. Do you know who my father is?" The mother said, "Even I don't know who your father is, my dear child." So, oh, okay. The child came, Gautam Muni, and said, "Oh, so do you mind telling me who your father is?" And the boy said, "I don't know. My mother doesn't know who my father is, and I don't know who my father is. I'm sorry." Just by hearing this answer, Gautam Muni said, "Okay, perfect. Come, I'll take you as my disciple." I said, "Hey, what happened?" So the quality which Gautam Muni took from this particular incident is his truthfulness, Satya. He has the quality of truthfulness, which is the Brahminical quality. Okay, he can be developed further. He can develop further, and he can develop other qualities as well. He just took that particular quality of truthfulness and then says that's a Brahminical quality. Doesn't have to born in Brahmana family, but you have the Brahminical quality. That's why you're fit to learn the Vedic scriptures. That is Gautam Muni. Right? And some of the things of a Brahmana, regarding Brahmana is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. He says, this is a true description of a Brahmana. The Brahmana is one who assimilated with the conclusions by practicing mind and sense control. Okay, so by performing tapasya, he has learned the Vedic scriptures and learned the conclusion, Vedic conclusion, not just the Vedas superficially. Vedesha sarver aham eva vedyo. Krishna is there in Vedas, right? But you have to understand the conclusion. So the Brahmana is a person who has not only read the Vedas but understood the conclusion of the Vedas. And regarding the out of mercy anugraha part, the Prabhupada says the Brahmana should take pity on the people and put Krishna consciousness to elevate them. Okay, so mercy, compassion should be exhibited in the form of letting others know about the purpose of life, and how should one lead the life to fulfill the purpose, to achieve the purpose, to achieve the goal. And then the Brahmanas are very dear to Supreme Lord due to the high Sattva Guna qualities. Okay? So Krishna says, I love the Brahmanas. Why? Because they have high Sattva Guna qualities, such wonderful qualities they have, which can bring them closer to Krishna. Right? So that is regarding the Brahmanas, basically. Okay. Now, the other verse which talks about the qualities of a Brahmana is in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 18, verse number 42, which is a very famous verse. Shamodamas tapashaucham, very similar. Shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnana astikyam brahma karma subhavajam. Peacefulness, shama, peacefulness, dhamma, self-control, tapa, austerity, shaucham, purity, cleanliness. Shantir is tolerance. We say titikshva, we saw there, shanti here. Arjavam, honesty, right? And jnanam and vijnanam, knowledge, wisdom, and astikyam is religiousness, right? These are eight, these are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 qualities mentioned, which Brahmanas have, natural qualities. The Brahmanas have these qualities. So it's not, as if it's not to judge others, it's for just to ourselves, where we stand. So this is a Brahmana, basically. This is a Brahmana. We can know a Brahmana by these qualities. Now, what is the position of a Brahmana? As I mentioned, Rishabh Dev talks about the position of a Brahmana very beautifully in 4 verses, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, if I go the previous verses here, Rishabh Dev actually talks about a gradation. Okay, it's very interesting. He talks about gradation. He says that of the 2 energies manifest, spirit and dull matter, the beings possessed by living force are superior to dull matter. Stone, earth, right? Superior to stone, earth are grasses, trees who are living. Superior to non-moving plants, vegetables are worms and snakes. So he keeps on increasing, And finally, what happens? he comes that superior to Indra are the direct sons of Lord Brahma. That's like sons like Daksha, Lord Shiva. And since Lord Shiva is son of Lord Brahma, Brahma is considered superior. But Brahma is also subordinate to me. Brahma came from my lotus, right? And because I am inclined to Brahmanas are the top, the best of all. Right? So he just gives a gradation that he's superior, superior to this particular person, this particular superior to this particular person, and just goes on, and finally says that because I consider Brahmanas to be the best, I am inclined to Brahmanas, right? They are superior to everyone. Okay, so that is the position of a Brahmana. Krishna considers the best of all. Okay, who is a Brahmana and what is the position of a Brahmana? So of course, Lord Shiva is also there. Chakravarti Padin's commentary says something about Lord Shiva as well. But for our discussion, they're the best of all, right? And now, Prabhupada talks in his commentary about the position of a Brahmana in terms of governance. He says that even though Bharat Maharaj was the best of all his children, right? Because he told his other children, follow Bharat and everything will be done. Be perfect, right? Still, he had to follow the instructions of Brahmanas to govern the world perfectly. Like this mentioned, he had to follow the instructions of Brahmanas. Okay. And the Lord is worshipped as Brahmanya Deva. Brahmanya Deva. Okay? Brahman, the Deva of Brahmanas. Right? He's very dear to. Okay. The Lord is very fond of devotees of Brahmanas. But then caution, this lesson does not refer to the caste Brahmanas, just Jati Brahmana, just because you're born in Brahmana family, Brahmana. Not Prabhupada says caste Goswamis, the caste Brahmanas, not like that. And Prabhupada mentioned the 8 qualities mentioned in text 24. Right? Prabhupada says here that if the head of a state is headed by qualified Brahmanas, everything becomes completely perfect. Because the point of the Brahmanas did not want anything in return. Okay, they did not do this to get something. He gives the example of Chanakya Pandit. So in his conversation with Professor Katowski, when Prabhupada went to Russia, they had one of the long discussion, and the part of the discussion was they were talking about Varnashram Dharma, and he's talking about Chanakya Pandit. He says he was a very learned person, and Chandragupta Maurya was being counseled by Chanakya Pandit, and he did not want anything in return. That's the way of Brahmana, right? He just want to counsel, teach others. That's it. And in return, Kshatriyas or Vaishyas, they can give whatever they with love or with happiness. They can give whatever they want. But Prabhupada talks about Chanakya Pandit, and because of his counsel, they are one of the biggest empires in the history. Now, we talked about who is a Brahmana. We talked about the position of a Brahmana. Okay. Now, Brahmana what is the definition of a Brahmana? Okay, in Srimad Bhagavatam, no, not Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a verse. It's called Janmana Jayate Shudra Samskara Dvija Uchyate Veda Patanta Bhavid Vipra Brahma Janati Iti Brahmana. So it's a Janmana Jayate Shudra. By just being born in this Kali Yuga, people are like Shudras. Okay? Samskara Dvija Uchyate. But by performance of samskara, person can become Dvija. Dvi means two, Ja means Janma, twice born. Okay? So of the twice born, Veda Patant Bhavid Vipra. Those who study the Vedas, learned in Vedas, they are called Vipra. And of the Vipras, those who know Brahma, they are known as Brahmana. Okay? Janmana Jayate Shudra Samskarat Vija Uchyate. Veda Patantat Bhaved Vipra. After reading Vedas, they become Vipra. Brahma Janati Iti Brahmana. Of those who know Brahma, they're Brahmanas. Now, Brahmana can be two types. Brahmana can mean just knowing the impulse of Brahman, that aspect, or Brahmanas can also mean those who know the Supreme Brahman, Krishna. Right? The two things. Okay. So when if you see in verse number, let me see verse number 20. Yeah, in verse number 24, it's 25 actually. Vishal Chakri Thakur says something very, very beautiful. So, verse 25 talks about the position of a devotee. Okay, if you see here, because this particular verse will not go because of time. Verse says the perfect Brahminical qualifications stated herein. Akinchanam mayi bhakta bhajam. Okay, akinchanam. Akinchanam means doesn't possess any wealth. That's akinchana, right? So now, Prabhupada says this is one of the perfect Brahminical qualities. Very same thing is mentioned in in Queen Kunti's prayers. Tvam akinchana gochara. Right? Oh, you are very dear to those who do not possess anything. So here the beautiful aspect is it's not the devotees don't possess anything. Let me open the particular verse. It's 1:8:26. 26. Queen Kunti's praise. Janmaishparyashita Shribhir Edhamana Madhapuman Naiva Hartya Abhidhatumbai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. O Lordship, you can be easily approached only by those who are materially exhausted. So here does not mean, it does actually the essence is, it does not mean the devotees do not possess anything. It means the devotees are not possessed by anything. That's the essence of it. He said devotees can't have cars, everything. He said they are not possessed by those things, but instead they use those things to as in service of Krishna. That is the meaning of akinchana gocharam. You are easily approachable by a material exhausted person, means they don't have attachment to this luxurious whatever things, right? So here Chakravarti Bhatt mentions in his commentary to this particular verse, of all the things which I mentioned, Brahmanas are the best. But then he says, my devotees are the best. Why my devotees? He says, the Brahmanas do not seek material comforts from me. They are pure and do not want to possess anything. They simply engage in my devotional service. These are devotees. Devotees who are in this particular stage, they're already Brahmanas. So Bhakti Siddhanta Sri Thakur says, those who are taking Vaishnava Diksha, they're actually above Brahmanas in one sense. So he says that my devotees are the best. They are the most worthy of worship. Okay. And the same thing, he says that, Kapila Muni says that in the third canto of Bhagavatam, the devotees are superior to the Brahmanas. In the third canto, chapter 29, verse 33. Okay, I'm just giving a reference here. Kapil Muni also says the exact same thing. Devotees are best, superior to Brahmanas, in fact. Okay, that means they already have Brahminical qualities. Now, we talked about, again, coming back, we talked about who is a Brahmana, the qualities of a Brahmana. I'm talking about the position of a Brahmana, right? Now, Shri Shivan Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks a very beautiful words which we recite every day. Okay, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Nama. So this verse was sung first by Maharaj Indradumna when he saw Lord Jagannath for the first time. This verse was also sung by Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was dancing in front of the Rath in front of the Rath, Jagannath Rath. Was dancing. He just folded his hands and looked up, towards Jagannath, and then he speaks particular verse, which is from the Vishnu Puran. Namo Brahmana Devaya. Oh, you are worshipped by Brahmana. Go Brahmana Hitayacha. You are well-wishers of Go and Brahmanas. And not just Go and Brahmanas. They're not impartial. Jagat Hitaya. You are well-wisher of the entire world. To that Krishnaya, Govindaya, Namo Nama. He says. So he's worshipped by even Brahmanas. Right? So Brahmanas, they worship Krishna. Okay. Now, sometimes we should have, as part of the followers of the Sanatana Dharma, Vedic teachings. The respect for Brahmanas is one of the 64 limbs of bhakti. Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu gives 64 limbs of bhakti, and one of the 64 limbs, basically limb number 10, is basically giving respect to Brahmanas. Okay, the verse is Go Bhumi Sura Vaishnava Pujita Pranata Dhyata Chapayanti Nrinam Agham. Right? Sorry, Ashwatha Tulsi Dhatri Go Bhumi Sura Vaishnava Pujita Pranata Dhyata Chapayanti Nrinam Agham. He says Ashwatha means Ashwatha tree, Tulsi, Dhatri means Amla, Indian gooseberry. Go, cows. Bhumi Sura. Sura means the head. Bhumi, the earth. The earth leaders. Sura means demigods, so to say. Actually, Sura. Bhumi is the demigods of the earth. So they are called as the Brahmanas. Vaishnava. Right? Pujita. So basically, when the Ashwatha tree, the Tulsi plant, the Indian gooseberry, Amla, cows, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas are worshipped, bowed down. Okay, Pujita, Pranatha, when they worship, they obeisances to them. Or Dhyayata, meditated upon. What happens? Shapayanti Drinam Agam. Agam means sinful. Shapayanti. All the sins are eradicated. Right? So respect for Brahmanas is one of the 64 limbs of bhakti. Given by Sri Rupa Goswami. Right? And the respect for Brahmanas and Brahminical culture should be inherent part of one's sadhana bhakti. Right? And what happens if you don't respect Brahmanas and Vedic? What happens in Vedic traditions? What happens if you don't respect Brahmanas or the Vedic traditions? Bhagavan will say something. Sri Krishna says, or the Lord says in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, something very, 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 very interesting. It comes from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th, I think 27. He says, Yada deveshu vedeshu goshu vipreshu sadhushu dharme mayita vidvesha sava ashu vinashyati. Right? One does not respect or envious of who? Yada, when Deveshu, the demigods, or Vedeshu, Vedic scriptures, Goshu, Goshu means the cows, Vipreshu, the Brahmanas, the Vipras and Brahmana here, Sadhushu, the saintly person, Dharme, and religious principles, and me, Mai. What happens? Sava, Ashu, Ashu means without any delay. Ashu means Ashutosh. Lord Shiva Ashutosh means one who gets pleased very quickly. Ashu Vinashyati. Right? He and his civilization will vanquish without delay. Quickly. Right? So it is very, very it's imperative to respect Brahmanas, to follow the Brahminical principles, to respect Brahminical culture, right? So that is the part. So because so the Brahmanas are very dear to Krishna because they know him as he is, the Supreme Brahman. Okay, I mentioned the two Brahmanas, one is Brahma, I think in personal, one is the Supreme Brahman. Okay. Now, what if somebody is a Brahmana, but as I mentioned, only expert in chanting Vedic mantras? What happens? The person only knows they can chant very nicely all the Vedic mantras, but does not know the essence. So what happens to those people? So what's been talked about them? In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, there's a beautiful verse. Bhagavad Bhakti hi nasya jati shastram japastapa apranayasyeva dehasya mandanam loka ranjanam. Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya. They know all the Vedic mantras, they know Vedic mantra, they can do chant with correct intonations, all this you can do perfectly. Right? But what happens? Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya, they don't have bhakti. But they do what? But they have been born in a high caste, they're very knowledgeable in the scriptures, they can japa, they can pronounce the mantras very nicely, or everything is there. But what is being compared to apranasyeva? Prana means life. Prana means no life. No life. Dehasya. A body with no life. Mandanam. It's like decorating mandanam. A body with no life. Just for simply pleasing people. Mandanam Lokaranjanam. A person devoid of devotional service may be born in, may they be born in great family, reveal scriptures, they can practice mantras, whatever, be chanting Vedic mantras, they can do so many things, but they're just like ornaments on dead body. One should try to come to a position of Brahmana, Prabhupada mentioned, but understanding the essence, not just able to chant the mantras properly, but understand the essence as to who the mantra is for. What is the conclusion of the scriptures? That's very important. Right? Now, in Kali Yuga, as you know, as part of Brahminical culture, is of course doing yajnas. That's the point of, that's what we're talking about it. Krishna came, he made sure the yajna is performed by learned twice-born Brahmanas. Now, one of the aspects of doing yajna is the Brahmana will chant Vedic mantras. From Swasti Vachan, these so many different Rig Veda, that Veda, so many things. Now, if you see, right, Vedic chantings are very difficult. If you know about it, very difficult. There are different four tones: Uddata, Anuddata, Swaritas. So basically, if you see Vedic mantras, you can do a tick on the top, underline on the bottom. They say big vertical line, double vertical lines. The Pali gives how to chant the Vedic mantras, and they're very, very. If we don't chant the mantras with those particular intonations, mantra doesn't have any effect, or it can have the opposite effect. The very famous example of being in the past time of Vritrasur, right? He chanted the mantra Indra Shatruhu, right? He wanted the enemy which will kill Indra, but because the intonation error, what happened? He got the demon appeared, which will be killed by Indra, just by one intonation error, right? So it's very difficult. It's very dangerous or difficult to chant Vedic mantras in this particular age, right? So, of course, but still do yajnas. But still do yajnas. Jiva Goswami says all the process of bhakti, all the limbs of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Achan Mandaram, Dasim, Sakhyam, all these limbs of bhakti, not limbs, processes of bhakti should be preceded and should be followed by kirtan. No matter what bhakti process you want to do. You want to do yajna, you want to do archana, whatever you want to do, it should be preceded and it should be followed by kirtan. This will be the most important part. So, of course, we still do, as I mentioned, we still do yajna. So many yajnas we do. Narsimha Yoma yajna. When we do we install deities, we do yajna. So many things we do. But it should be preceded and followed by Hari Kirtan. Because Hari Kirtan is the dharma for Kali Yuga. Kataya Dhyaya to Vishnu. Kalau tad Hari Kirtanat. Kalau in Kali Yuga, Hari Kirtan is the dharma. Kali Yuga dharma. Now, one example in this regard is Sri Prabhupada in his when during the opening of Krishna Balram temple, right? He wanted basically Jesus wanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that's it, done. They didn't want anything else basically, or Kirtan. But then he invited the Brahmanas in Vrindavan to come and perform yajna, because unless you do that, the temple won't be recognized by the local people. It's a bona fide temple. But then what happened? I was hearing a lecture and devotee was talking about Prabhupada had three groups of people. Okay, the first group was chanting Brahma Samhita, Chintamani, doing the yajna. Other group was chanting Bhagavad Gita. The third group was chanting Purusha Sukta. Chanting Purusha Sukta, which is the same prayers offered by the Devatas, the shore of the milk ocean, to please Lord Vishnu. Right? So the three groups chanting all the three things. And apart from that, there is Kirtan going on. And also the Brahmanas chanting Vedic mantras. So imagine these five different things going on simultaneously going on. Right? So Prabhupada wanted this Kirtan is enough for yajna. Right? And even doing Kirtan itself is Sankirtan yajna. Right? Sankirtan yajna, sacrifice itself. So, but even though, as I mentioned, even though no matter what process we are following, you should precede it and followed by Kirtan. That's why it is in the traditional way, and especially in India, here, even here as well, yeah. Prabhupada started Jayarada Madhava. Before lecture, before Shravanam, you do Kirtan, there will be lecture, again there will be Kirtan, and then Prasadam. That's how it is. Kirtan, Shravanam, Kirtan, and then Prasadam. Right? So, in this verse, just mention more. If you simply taking birth, let me go again here. Oh, okay. Simply taking birth in the family of Brahmana does not make one qualified to perform yajnas. So this is reading Sri Bhakti Sam Sindhu. In that, Sri Jiva Goswami in his commentary towards the Eastern Ocean, the first wave, in verse 21 and 22. Basically, the context is the characteristic of devotion service are mentioned. Okay, and the characteristic being mentioned is Klesha Gni, the desire of Klesha, a simple reaction, simple activity, everything. So here, in this regard, Sri Rupa Goswami, in the proof of destroying Prarabdha karma, he gives a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33:6. And the commentary to that particular verse, Sri Jiva Goswami writes, yes, he writes, by hearing or chanting the name of the Lord, or by bowing down to the Lord, or remembering the Lord, a dog eater, Swapacha, quickly destroys his prarabdha karma of this life, which have been produced because of his low birth, and which prevents him from performing sacrifices. Okay, just by chanting the holy name, remembering, chanting, bowing down. At the same time, by devotional acts, he also attains the punya, which creates qualities suitable for performing sacrifices. Okay, then he says, however, a person, even if born as a Brahmana, without bad birth, Brahmana means it's not a bad birth. So it's not that when Krishna says that, Chatuvarna Maya Srishtam, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. It's not there are 4 varnas, not because of birth, by qualities and guna and karma, by activities. It's not just by guna activities. Of course, a person born in Brahmana family, it means that in the previous life, the person has Brahmana qualities. That's why he got a birth in Brahmana family. Or why would a person in Brahmana family birth? Right? The person has them because the person born in Brahmana family, the person has Brahmana qualities. Is that by that reason he got birth in that particular family? Of course, he has to cultivate more. You should continue cultivating that. But the person has Brahmana qualities. But even then, Jiva Goswami says, even if a person is born in Brahmana family without bad birth, the person needs Vedic initiation with Gayatri Mantra to perform. That is the special birth necessary to perform sacrifices. So that's the purpose says here. The once born science of Brahmana families are equal with Shudras in the terms of qualifications to perform sacrifice. Is the second initiation or the Vedic initiation by Gayatri Mantras that enables even a person born in the Brahmana family to perform sacrifice. So that is the requirement. Okay, and they should be rejected for any purpose. Basically, they should not perform any sacrifice, chanting Gayatri Mantra, anything. But then Krishna looked after the arrangement very nicely, and then he caused the yajna to be performed by twice born Brahmanas for a successful execution. So Krishna looked at all the different aspects and he performed. And in the next verse, which is the end of the chapter, Krishna started for Dwarka. He bade farewell. He stayed for some time. I want to read from Mahabharata as well, but yeah, we don't have time. Basically, it was regarding what did Krishna do for the particular time. He says, right, Masan, for some time. If we say it here, the previous verse, the verse says, Uvasa Katichan Masan. It's Uvasa, Nivas Kiya, for some time, for some months. So it's if Mahabharata, the Ashwamedhika Parva, last Parva, chapter 15, talks about Bhagwan Shri Krishna ka Arjun se Dwarka jane ka prastav karna. Basically, Lord Krishna does not tell Yudhishthira Maharaj, now I have to go. Can you please? No. He tells Arjuna, can you please tell Yudhishthira Maharaj? I cannot tell him directly because it will hurt. It will hurt him. He can feel pain by putting my proposal like this. Can you do this for me? Can you acquire permission for my departure from Yudhishthira Maharaj? I cannot bear to hurt him. Can you please do it? That's how much he's sensitive. Krishna is sensitive, right? So in that chapter, 15th chapter, there's a small description of what Krishna and Arjuna did. This is just Krishna and Arjuna specifically used to roam around all different places, all these different ponds, different forests. They used to laugh, enjoy so much. Krishna and Arjuna. I want to read that, but we don't have time, unfortunately. And 3. But again, just to summarize what we did today, we talked about who is Yajna, Lord Vishnu, who should be for Lord Vishnu, who can perform yajnas, twice born Brahmanas. Okay, not just person born in Brahmana family, twice born Brahmanas. The qualities of a Brahmana we talked about from the 5th canto in Bhagavatam, 5th chapter verse 24, and from the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as well. We talked about the position of a Brahmana, again from the same section of Bhagavatam. Rishabdev talks about the position of the Brahmana. We talked about respecting Brahminical culture, respecting Brahmanas as one of the limbs of bhakti, given by Sri Rupa Goswami. The most important yajna in this time is the Kali Yuga. In Hariram Sankirtan, we should be preceded and followed by any forms of bhakti, any forms process of bhakti. And what to do while yajna is being performed, while 5 sakram is performed, it should be kirtan. It should be performed at all times, at all places. So thank you so much. Please forgive me any mistakes. Kindly, share, comment, correct me if I made any mistakes. Not if, I definitely made mistakes, I'm sure. You kindly correct me. Thank you so much. Shri Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Share my sharing.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such nice description of Brahmana qualities.
Thank you.
Very nice compilation of all the verses from various places, Bhakti-rasa Amrit Sindhu, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu, agreed. I liked the descriptions and pulling from all different places and tying it into the importance of that Vaishnavas are above the Brahmanas. Like Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur had that big
debate,
and he glorified the Brahmanas, and then the Brahmanas were like, "Oh yes, very good. He's on our side." Smacked all by establishing the superiority of the Vaishnava. Thank you, Prabhu. That was very. Thank you.
Okay, we'll pause here. We'll stop here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. We'll see you in Sunday feast. Thank you so much. Panchakalpatru Bheshtakapa Sindhu Bhe Evacha Paditana Pavane Bhe Vaishnu Dhanamo Namaha Antakoti Vaishnavrindi ki jai. Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Antakoti Vaishnavrindi ki jai.